This is me. Last year I achieved 200 Moal on my main account Heyboxjongen, locking in rank 19 overall and rank 1 of the Netherlands. With having achieved 200 million XP in every single skill, I needed a new challenge. So I made a Maxscape speedrun series where the goal is to max as fast as possible with in-game time. I theory crafted my own route with many obstacles to overcome. This is my grind to the fastest Maxscape. On the last episode of the Maxscape speedrun, we had to overcome the hardest puzzles and the most intense boss fight so far to complete the quest Sins of the Father. And with that quest completion we also unlocked the Hallowed Sepulchre. And in Sepulchre we sep crafty bake imbue pie fletched our way to 86 agility. And that leaves us where we left off in the last episode, about to start all the last remaining quest on the account before doing Song of the Elves. Yo, welcome everyone to the final questing episode of this series, hopefully, if I didn't make any mistakes. So, the first quest we are gonna do is Hero's Quest. The reason why we are doing this quest now is because it's needed for unlocking Barrow Gloves, and that is also something I want to be doing in this video. Getting the final requirements for Barrow Gloves and yeah, doing the final boss fight. And originally I had this quest planned way earlier in the series, but then I forgot to get the Dusty Key during the Wanted quest. So in my mind the best idea was to get my agility up to at least level 70. So I could use the shortcut in the Teverly dungeon instead of going all the way through the Teverly dungeon, get the Dusty Key and go all the way back past the Blue Dragons to fish the Lava Eel. And with the shortcut I can just go like the shortcut and we good. But then I also found out you could just fish them in the wilderness, which I kind of forgot and is probably even faster than going to Teverly. And of course it wouldn't be me doing quests on this series without making mistakes. Well, it was not really my fault, since the quest helper actually highlighted the wrong NPC here. And I was very confused how to get to this cook, but it turned out I just had to talk with the guy standing in the pub. So I only lost like a couple minutes of time here figuring out what to do, but we got there. So fix your shit, quest helper people. But after that, it was smooth sailing with the Hero's Quest and we managed to complete it pretty soon after. This quest is actually really short, way shorter than I remembered it was. And it gives pretty good XP, like in a million skills. Should have done this one earlier, but oh well. After Hero's Quest, I was able to start a Legends Quest for the last member remaining for Recipe for Disaster. And also with the Legends Quest, you unlock the Kazari Jungle, where you have to go for several Karamya diary tasks. And since I'm planning on completing the full Karamya diary for a teleport to Durdel for Slayer, I thought it was a good idea to like multi-skill or like multitask these tasks while getting the ingredients for the Sir Amikfar's subquest. So after entering the Kazari Jungle, I continued with the quest, because I have to do this first part of the quest to get into the dungeon. So I mapped the Kazari Jungle. Then I picked 5 palm leaves for the diary task, and got a vanilla pot for the Recipe for Disaster subquest. On our second trip in the Kazari Jungle, we received a bull roar, so we could continue the quest. And after speaking to this guy, we could enter the dungeon. And then I wasn't sure like how far I had to complete the Legends Quest to advance in the dungeon, but it turned out I just could go there straight away to kill the Deathwing for the diary. And I'm stopping Legends Quest here because there's no point in doing this quest. And then I quickly did the last subquest for Recipe for Disaster. This one is actually really short, and I made good use of my powerful Mystic armor to kill the evil chicken and the black dragon. And at the end of the quest you have to like cook your dish that you made with the dragon token, and you need to ice gloves for that, otherwise you get like hit a massive amount of damage. But I forgot to equip them, but I got hit as 0, which was very weird, but oh well. Now that I'm editing this, I see that I was super anti-fired, so it makes all sense. And that is the quest completed. So it is time for... well, it's almost time for the final boss. We have to do Desert Treasure first. But before we can do Desert Treasure, we have to get our thieving up, since it's too low to reliably open the chest here in the Babadin camp. Plus I also need 70 herblore for Song of the Elves, so we're gonna do some artiblore. And after a couple hours of artiblore, I decided that 73 thieving would be the perfect number to complete the quest. And also while getting 73 thieving, we managed to get more than 70 herblore, which is one of the requirements for Song of the Elves out of the way. So, doing Desert Treasure now, and this quest fucking blows, man. I don't know, it's very weird and all the quest bosses are annoying and gimmicky. But I decided to do the Blood Diamond first, since that one takes you to Entrana and I didn't want to re-gear, so I had to do this one without quest helper, but that actually went quite well. It would be cool if you could like select a certain part in a quest, if there are multiple parts that like don't require a specific order in a quest, like with Desert Treasure. You could select that in the quest helper and then could do this part first if you wanted. But then disaster struck during the Smoke Diamond. I cannot believe how many mistakes I made during this part or how many items I forgot. It was absolutely insane and I was hating every second of it. As some of you already saw, I forgot my tinderbox and my face mask. It's the first mistake. Then, after running all the way to the corner to light my first torch, somehow my Falador teleport looked more like a tinderbox than my actual tinderbox. So yeah, that is another huge mistake that cost me like multiple minutes. And after finally getting into the room, it turned out I didn't have water spells, and water spells are the only thing that work, and I somehow didn't know that. So that was probably the most like disastrous quest I've done ever. This part took me like 15 minutes when it should take only like 2 minutes. It was disaster. And then on my way back I also still was bringing death runes while I was able to cast Water Surge with the imbued heart boost, but oh well. While going for the Shadow Diamond, something good actually happened during this quest. I managed to get the thing you have to steal from the chest after only 8 lockpicks, so that was kind of bug. Then the quest went on quite normal, and I really enjoyed this fight against Camel here. Really good, yeah, epic man, very fun. Engaging battle. I wish every quest boss was like this. About to finally finish this quest, and of course everyone knows this quest unlocks the Ancient Spellbook, which will be really helpful for Slayer, with Ice Barrage and Blood Barrage. And also unlocking Barrel Gloves after this is really big for Slayer as well, so this is probably one of the bigger unlocks for the account. After quickly stopping on a Culinaromancer and all of his friends, we were awarded with a quest point and a XP lamp, and we have 191 quest points now, so only a couple more for 200, and the lamp we put on Slayer, which gave us 52 Slayer. Then we made our way over to the chest to buy Barrel Gloves. Before we continue the video, I just wanted to remind you guys that we're pretty close to 25k subs, so please hit that sub button. Yes, the Elven Questline. Before we can finish this whole questline with completing Song of the Elves, we still have to do several other requirements to start that quest. We still have to do 4 quests: Roving Elves, which we are doing now, Morning's End Part 1 and 2, and Making History. For the skills, we still need 5 of the 8 skills required for Song of the Elves. construction, farming, mining, smithing and woodcutting, all to level 70, which shouldn't take too long. Now back to the quest. We're killing the moss giant with the help of a ring of recoil. I also wanted to avenge myself with my ult, but the ult happened to be on a different world, so I just went in anyway. And honestly, this one was easy once again. I always remember like those demi-bosses in Quest being way harder than they actually are. About to finish roving elves, and I really hope they don't go away, because I still need to start Morning's End Part 1 after this. I guess we are hoping to find them again. Okay, I found them again. Now it's time to start Morning's End Part 1. And for the quest reward of roving elves, I did choose the bow over the shield, because for the heart diary you need to kill an elf with a crystal bow, so it just saves me time getting another bow if I had chosen the shield. And at the start of that quest you get a teleport seed, so you can teleport back to Ledja, but 4 charges is probably not enough, so I'm gonna get a couple more from the drops from elves here, because I don't want to run out mid-quest out of charges and have to go out of my way to recharge them again, and it gives some combat XP. The rest of this quest is pretty boring, other than the shooting toad part. It's always kind of fun, and it works really well in resizable mode, so good job, Jagex. And after doing some epic 360 quickscopes on the sheep, we didn't miss a single toad, so that is very good for the speedrun. And that is Morning's End Part 1 completed. 25k thieving and hit points XP. Now it's time to start Part 2. And everyone always dreads Part 2, but it's kinda a joke with Quest Helper once again. And now the part everyone probably doesn't want to be reminded about. But I did my homework and got 86 agility and boosted to 91, so it is impossible to fail this. And that is how you do this quest, ladies and gentlemen. Run your agility labs. And after just breezing through this light puzzle with the quest helper, we managed to get our way into the death altar, because we already had a death talisman since we are no stinky Iron Man. And that is Morning End Part 2 completed in a bit over 20 minutes. Which is a very solid time in my opinion. With those 3 quests out of the way, that just leaves us making history and all the skilling requirements. Now it's time to work on the skills. Starting the grind to 70 mining with shooting stars. You might be like, huh? Shit XP? What are you doing, man? But actually the stardust that you get from this, you can buy the celestial ring with them, and that ring provides a invisible +4 mining boost. So that one is actually efficient to get. And you see the timer I have on the screen here? I just put it on for fun to see how long this would take, but that is something I could do for future like grinds or things I have to unlock. If you guys like seeing that on the screen, let me know in the comments. Then I was just minding my own business here, trying to not lose ticks. And I got a Uncut Sapphire, and I was like, oh yeah, let me just unequip my Internal Glory, because that increases the chance of gems. And then that happened. The menu entry swapper with the teleport option fucked me over there. So I had to run back and lose a couple minutes of time. And I scouted these stars on my alts, and then mined them until they were tier 1. Because tier 1 has the highest success rate of getting Stardust, which is what I'm after. A tier 1 star only has 1200 Stardust in it, so I need to get 800 more after this one for the ring. Then on the second star I traded my main for a light bearer, so I could like spec more often. Since the success rate on getting a started depends on your mining level, scaling all the way from level 99 to level 30. Having an overall higher mining level will just result in more stardust per hour. And for those wondering, the ring saves about 1 hour total on 99 mining. And once I reached 2000 stardust, I made my way over to the mining guild in Valador and bought the ring. Oh my god, collection log! And of course for mining I was gonna do 3 tick 4G. And now that we are 60 attack and 61 mining, we can use the dragon pickaxe, so we can also use the special attack. And combine that with the new ring we just got and spec transferring, that makes up for pretty decent XP an hour already at mid-level 60s, already getting 107k an hour. And that is 70 mining. Now on to smithing. And for smithing I went to the blast furnace, since that is by far the best smithing XP in the game, especially at my level. And I was using a runner here at blast furnace. So the idea of this method is that the runner keeps running between the bank and the bar dispenser and getting new gold ore, so that I only have to run between the bar dispenser and the conveyor belt, shortening the trip length, allowing for a significantly higher XP an hour. Hiring a runner at blast furnace is quite expensive, since your XP is not even that much higher than like doing it solo. Solo HP is 380k an hour, and I was getting close to 470k an hour, so it's a decent increase, but for the amount of money you spend, it's not worth. You are better off spending your money on RC runners. You get way more bang for your buck that way. Already on the last inventory, and that is 70 smithing. Another 70 stat out of the way for some of the elves. On to the next one. With mining and smithing done, that leaves us 3 skills. Woodcutting, farming and construction. And for farming I just did like yew trees, because I was kind of running out of time and I had to wait for my teak trees to grow as well for woodcutting. So I was just doing yew trees while lighting some fires in between. And there's not really that much to farming other than just doing the patches that are the closest, so I'm not doing stuff like Taverley or Caterby, since those are quite far. After my teaks were ready, I quickly got 70 woodcutting. And for construction I made mahogany tables, since that is the best XP an hour at my level. And I went to a little bit under 77, because at 77 I can make mahogany benches, and some of the elves will give me the last remaining XP for 77. Forgot to record, but did making history. And I also did Swan Song, since that quest still had to be done for a diary, but I figured I would just do it now, so some of the elves will actually be the last quest. Swan Song done. And that is the diary task done for the Western Province's Heart. That will be need for the Crystal Halberd for Slayer. And then, after finally hitting 70 farming, it was time to start the quest. It feels so good to finally be doing this quest. This quest is special because it's my favorite quest on Old School, but it's also the last quest that we will be doing on this series. Because the question has gotten a little old, at least for me. I'm not sure how you guys feel about this, but I think the series will get even more interesting when it's all about skilling, and not as much about like unlocking certain areas, certain items, skilling methods, and just like fully focus on skilling after this. And since this is my favorite quest, I put in a little bit more effort with like the whole presentation for this one on stream. And it was a really great stream, by the way. You should definitely check out my Twitch. I will leave the link in the description. But yeah, this stream was insane. And I made a little overlay for the actual speedrun with the live split. And I had a pretty big brain strat here for like stacking up the mourners, then blood barraging them. Oh, and also this was my first stream that I did with a webcam, so you can also see my face here for the YouTube people that missed the stream. But other than that, I wasn't really aiming for a specific time. I just wanted to have fun and see how fast I could do this quest, and yeah, it was really fun to like get all the splits and see how fast I could do the library and everything. And in my mind, the blood barraging was like really big brain, but it didn't really work out that well, since all the fucking resistant fighters were getting in the way and losing me some time, but I think it was still faster than just using the Sanguinesti stuff for all the NPCs individually. Then for the waterfall part, I traded over all the items needed for like the next couple parts of the quest from my main. But then my brain was too much on autopilot and I used the nature rune on the wrong pillar here. And you can see my facial expression being quite funny. I realized I fucked up. But on the second attempt everything went according to plan, so we cleared this part as well. And with a time of 30 minutes and 20 seconds, we entered the Grand Library of Prifddinas. And this is probably my favorite part of this quest. I know Runelight is helping me a little bit with Quest Helper, but still, solving these light puzzles is so much fun. And actually on release I did this whole part without a guide, together with a good friend of mine. And it was probably one of the most fun I've had on this game. Figuring out like where to go and how to put the mirrors. It was so much fun. If there were ever to come out with a skill that is just solving light puzzles, I would be all for it. So far the library is going really well. Only made a couple like mistakes where I had to run back for like a couple takes. And it even went so well that I didn't fail the handholds like on the way there, only on the way back, but that is not that important. So that definitely saved me a minute or two by not failing on the way there. Because if you fail on the way there, you have to like go all the way back. But if you fail going backwards, it doesn't really matter since you have to like be on the other side anyway. But we managed to complete the library with a time of 37 minutes and 12 seconds. This might be my personal best since I didn't fail on the handholds as much as I did on other runs, but I can't really remember what my other times were, but I'm happy with 37 minutes. Skipping a little bit ahead since the rest of the quest isn't that much interesting, at least like the part between the library and this. I managed to kill this guy without taking a single point of damage. The next and also last part of this quest takes place in the underground pass, and I thought I was very high IQ by going through the wilderness via the dead altar, but apparently I was on a target world and I got insta-skulled when I ran through the wilderness, but luckily there were no PKers and yeah, that was quite scary. I did trade over my ancestral earlier because I knew I was gonna do this method and I didn't want to risk that much, but I still could have lost a couple mil here if there were any PKers waiting for me. For the part where you have to defend the barrier, I probably had like the best stack I've ever had out of all the times I did this quest. It was actually so good that I could just like AFK the last minute, because the barrier was still very healthy. While watching Elena getting stabbed to almost death, for some reason I thought, yeah, we have to do the Siren fragment after I did the barricade part. So I took a 40 to the dome straight away from this guy. And I was already debating on banking before the Siren fragment, because I didn't have like the best amount of prayer left. And then, yeah, that 40 didn't help with my food supply. And even later in the fight I also got chanced by him, because I was one tick too late with my prayer, because I glanced at the chat. And then I was like, yeah, I definitely have to bank now. But then someone in the chat said, you don't even have a teleport, how are you gonna bank? So yeah, I had to full send the Siren fight. Which ended up in a pretty comfy win, and actually a pretty fast time as well, of only 2 minutes and 55 seconds. Yes, Song of the Elves done in 1 hour, 47 minutes and 27 seconds. Honestly, I didn't expect it to be this quick. I thought it was close to 3 hours, but we managed to do it in, yeah, less than 2. And I instantly made my way over to Amrod. That is the NPC where you can trade in all your enhanced teleport seeds for shards. And with the help of 3 friends, I managed to trade in all the enhanced teleport seed that you guys donated in a bit over 7 minutes to get 226k crystal shards in return. And now, the moment you have all been waiting for, we're gonna use the crystal seeds for some insane XP rates. And this method is actually quite simple. The way it works, I just make an inventory of crystal armor. At first we have to make a couple inventory of legs, since our smithing isn't high enough to make the bodies. But once we hit 74, we can start making the bodies. One crystal body requires 150 shards and 3 armor seeds. But in the process of reverting it, you do get your armor seeds back, but you lose your shards, so it's very expensive. But you get 135k XP divided over both smithing and crafting from one inventory. So crafting one inventory cost me around 27 mil every time. So that brings the GP per XP to around 200 in both skills combined. Let's see how much XP an hour we can actually get with this method. At the Crafter Guild, buying the cape, because this cape is gonna be pretty helpful during a lot of skills on this account, since it's the quickest teleport to a bank. And smithing will be finished later with the use of the infernal pickaxe during mining. That's why, yeah, we only got crafting and smithing is 98 still. But eventually all good things come to an end, and so does this episode. It was quite a long one today, but here are the stats for this episode. And stats for the last one. And stats for this episode. And the difference between them. So we mainly gained a lot of HP from the crystal and smithing method, but also the requirements for Song of the Elves did some pretty good numbers for our total level. I forgot to mention how long it took to use all the crystal shards, but it took us a bit over 1 hour, and we got almost 56 HP for that, so that is quite a lot of hours saved. And last but not least, the cost analysis. So we already spent around 300 mil on this account, and in this episode we spent around 35 mil more getting the requirements for Song of the Elves, totaling 335 mil. And then 4.5 bill gets added from all the crystal shards that were being used, and that leaves us with 4.84 bill GP spent so far on the account, and it's gonna be a lot higher when we finish. Alright, thank you for watching everyone, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.